Hey guys, new video here. So I got asked by a lot of people who are currently making this build, a couple people in my guild, to make a video about the mechanics, what I changed on the build to actually get DPS. As of the time of this video, when I'm not looking at Twitch chat and paying attention, we have the fight down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds, right? Most miners, well-geared miners, can do it in well under 3 minutes, sometimes even 2 minutes, if they play perfectly. And so, not the fastest Cyrus clear, but if you're carrying, 3.5 minutes is pretty much nothing. And I think that the DPS has kind of skyrocketed because before, when we had the very budget gear, it was taking 6.5, 7 minutes to get the fight down. But with a little bit of practice and with a little bit of upgrades on the Tanky Jugg for this specifically made for the Cyrus fight, I thought I'd go over some of those changes and kind of do a walkthrough of how, I guess, to play this. Sounds kind of weird. It's like walkthrough of like how the fight works, but for this character right here, because this character is it's funny because you tank everything, and you can tank everything if you have your molten shell and everything. I was asked to make this video, so I'm gonna make it. So going through it, that this is a carry I did. I'm in the portals, right? And I timed it from the moment I enter those red portals when Cyrus spawns them. So you always start here. You're gonna go up the stairs, right? You're gonna click on the stairway, and I'm just gonna commentate everything just in case, right? So when you exit out here, if you are doing the carrying, it's very important that there's no storm right here, okay? If there is a storm right here, which sometimes it does bug out. I've seen video clips of people where they die in the very first phase and a storm gets pushed right here where my cursor is moving. Then when you come in and you start moving, it's just gonna kill you, straight up kill you. And there is one way around that. And that is if there's a storm here that's blocking the room, and there's a storm right around down here. What you're going to do is, if you have any instant life flasks, you're going to start spamming the life flask as you flame dash, shield charge, whirling blades, dash, leap slam. This way you go south. You just as you're dashing and using your movement ability to going south, you're gonna spam your life flask to try not to die, and then you're gonna jump into the storm that will be right here, okay? And right here is the second one, right? So the second storm will kill you and you stay dead. And then when you're right here, the storm that's blocking right here, because it is a following storm, it will slowly move southeast into here. It'll go like this, and as you stay dead, it converges right here over your dead body, and now the doorway is blocked. That is one thing that you can do to try to alleviate the bug where like the storm blocks or you're dying a bunch on phase 1 and it's like completely bricks your run. Okay, that's the first thing. Right here, you go through this right here, and once again in this video I'm just trying to go through everything, so like if you're playing this build or any other build, maybe you can glean some insight out of it. Right here, there's always going to be these two storms in the beginning of the fight, no matter what. This is a fresh fight right here, and when you walk through this, you'll take a tiny bit of damage, depending on like if you're on lockstep, predictive, what your ping is. You might actually be closer or further away, but you'll take a tiny bit of damage. And this is kind of like Grinding Gear's way of showing you this fight has some dot damage. These storms are kind of dangerous. The closer you get to the middle of the storms, the more damage you will take. My character, even at max endurance charges with a lot of regen and spamming the life flask, cannot survive in the middle of these storms. I've heard that some tanks can. I don't know how they're doing it. And then so when you go through here, you take a little bit of tick damage. As you see how my ES went down right away. So that's like I was going through here, and just like the fringes are gonna tick you down, even like beyond the black, the matte black coloring there. Now it's kind of weird because sometimes around Cyrus, when you are proccing him by going under him, sometimes the edge will not damage you. Now this could just be lag, desync, things like that. But maybe the fight's a little bit buggy. Maybe certain storms are a little bit different, have a little bit larger radius, a little bit smaller radius. So actually right here, what I should have done is I should go down here. This is the shorter path. You can go out the door and then down here, or when you're right here, you can go downwards here and then southwest. Okay, so once again, going through here, taking a little bit of tick damage, just so you know that those storms are static. They are going to damage you. And then right here, you go down here, and he's always in the same position, right? You have to realize during this fight I'm looking at Twitch chat, I'm interacting with chat, so it might not be very clean, but I'll talk through it. So the way that you initiate the fight, he will always be right here at the beginning. There will always be a storm right here. You go directly underneath him, and it's not directly underneath him from like a 2D perspective, right? It's directly underneath him as if his chair fell down in a 3D plane. That's where you can proc him, right? So if you see where my mouse is right now, if you stand right here, he'll not proc. But if you drop it down to like the floor right here, this is the area which will proc him. And that starts the fight. He always does either, like, you see that like rain of stars, or he does that a double laser beam convergence. He's usually doing some of that. And this is the part where you can do a gluttony belt swap. So what the gluttony belt does, when I put it on and I leap slam once, it deals a hit of physical damage to you when you use a movement ability. And I use leap slam, it ticks me, and as a Jugg, I gain endurance charges whenever I've been hit, right? It ticks up, and then every single tick, I'm sorry, any tick of hit damage will start proccing the endurance charge, and every single endurance charge gain has a 25% chance of getting maximum endurance charges. So you're always going to be at full. This is a good way to start it. Another trick for this build is that to start the fight, you can just stand in one of these flame geysers or one of these hits, because it's any kind of hit will proc your endurance charge. So I don't even need to put on the gluttony belt. I can take a hit and you won't die. If you look right here, the reason I have so little life right now is because I made some changes to see like how much we could tank while having no life at all, and we actually got under 3,000. We were at 2.9 thousand health, and we could still tank everything. It was hilarious. The degens were a little bit tougher with that level of health, but that's totally fine. But all the carries were we never failed to carry. Most of them were deathless. So the character, even with low amounts of HP, is unbelievably tanky. I was tanking meteors without molten shell at 2.9k health, if you can believe that. You actually might even see that here. And so let's continue. So he is gonna do his role play. He's gonna say some edgy stuff, and then you will see him jump out of his chair and come down, and that is how the fight starts, right? He comes down, and that's where I put down my totems. My totems give me a lot of attack speed, and they have a combustion attachment to them, and the combustion gives him minus 19 fire res. That's a big multiplier to my damage, right? You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna start attacking him. I proc my fortify, as you can see right here, by this icon right here, by a leap slam. I leap slam on top. I hold down right click to spam my molten strike or my E, and then I'm doing some damage here. As you can see, I have Wise Oak Flask. I like to use about 1 or 2 per phase. Every phase is 25%. So the fight is broken down into 25% phases. When you get him to 75%, he will cast a storm. Get him to 50%, he'll cast another storm, but I'll go over that later. And so I'm just DPSing here. This solo beam that you'll see, right? Pew, that was a triple. When he says die, 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 he shoots a triple beam. You can jump anywhere except for, I guess, like parallel with that beam to avoid it, okay? Literally anywhere, because he cannot turn while shooting that beam. That single beam right there, and when he teleports, okay, so I already procced him, but that single beam will never kill this character. It is impossible to die with that. With 0 endurance charges, you cannot be killed by that on this character, but I recommend the triple beam. Definitely try to dodge that so you get in the muscle memory of future characters. Extremely easy to dodge, extremely easy to like even walk, like just walk a tiny bit to the left or the right of him, and you will dodge that. The first phase is kind of a joke because he attacks slow, the beam doesn't have that great of AoE, and the one thing you do have to worry about is the when he teleports somewhere. So I'd say every like 5 to 8 seconds, he'll teleport somewhere else in this circle. It's really easy to see because you can it's kind of like a dash where it leaves a tiny little trail, and you'll see where he goes. And just listen for the die, die, die. When you hear die, 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 jump in a random direction and then jump back on top of him to reproc your fortify. Fortify on the skill tree gives you attack speed and some damage if you have it up. So I like to keep it up, but Fortify got nerfed, so it's not as effective as it was, but it is still pretty good. Okay, so right here, you see this black stuff on the ground? This is degen, and the best way to tell that the degen, it's kind of hard to see, right? Because it's black on like a dark red, dark gray tiles. The degen is the most dangerous part of this fight because it stops all your life regen, and it'll just tick you down if you are not careful. Now it does have the benefit of like once you jump anywhere else, it probably isn't degen, and sometimes when he spawns degen on you, it might even miss you because it comes out in patches like this. The way that you know the degen is coming is that there is a Meteor Barrage. Let's see if I can find it here. And the Meteor Barrage comes from this giant dude in the sky. You can't damage that guy. He's just like a turret that randomly spews it. He doesn't always target you, but sometimes you get unlucky at the beginning and he targets you like 2 times, 3 times in a row. Sometimes in the first entire 2 or 3 phases, he never targets you. You just can get pretty lucky. So think of that as a giant turret in the sky, and he will usually either do a he'll do like a mini meteor barrage. So you see like 3 or 4 meteors fall from the sky, or you might see fire geysers, and that is your cue that there is some amount of degen ground on the floor. Let me see if I can find it. Like right there. You see right there where it went bam, 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 right? And you see a little flame geyser here. That is how you know that degen might be there. If you never see flame geysers or a meteor around where you're fighting, you don't have to move at all, right? There's a challenge tied to it, but you know, you can do that on your own later when you master the fight. And so yeah, just avoid that degen because that is very scary. It's easy if you're on if you're carrying or you're doing it on a server that has bad ping, then you know, you might get ticked a little bit more than you want, right? But I have 3 life flasks here. So we've ticked the next phase. Now this is a huge point of contention on Reddit and from people who maybe don't know the fight so well. And I agree with Reddit and other people that if you're a new player and you're not really reading guides, watching videos, things like that, you have no idea what to do with Storm, right? But I'm going to show you. So we've taken him down 25% health, so he's at 75% health, and he will always do a Storm at 75%. And he's going to drop down in his big form, and he's going to create a tornado cyclone thing that looks like this, right? The thing on the left, the thing on the north here, basically the things that you see when you walk in. And as he's creating that, the best tactic, if you want to practice this fight, if you don't want to deal with storms, is right as you see the ball being created, it means it's procced. You run southwest to this tent right here. You see this tent? There's like, it's a set of tents, right? You don't have to run that far. I'm on ultra, so you can see a little bit more. But as you'll see, I'll jump over here, and you are safe here as he's proccing the storm. Okay, so you see that right there in the top right. That is him creating the storm. It's going to expand. You're going to see white shockwaves come off. Boom. You see that? That shockwave right there, shockwave right there. And see that white stuff? That's a shockwave. When you see that, you know the storm is proccing. And if you stay anywhere around where my mouse is right now, the storm will not chase you. Okay, that is the biggest part about this fight that will make people panic. The storm does not chase you if it's off screen. So right now you'll see me standing here. I'm just waiting, right? It'll push you back a little bit. Doesn't matter as long as it doesn't push you into these things right here. And now the storm is here. It is completely set. Usually it'll chase you around if you're too close. If you have a minion build or a Jolem or like some, make sure to convocate them, get them over here, because sometimes, or totems, get them over here. You see me cast totems here because if my totems stay here, sometimes the storm starts to follow me. So get all your entities away from the storm and just wait. And what are we waiting for this first storm phase out of 3? Well, we're waiting for a shadow. You see a shadow? His aggro range is so big that he will chase you and the storm will not, because the storm is technically like considered off screen, but he can see you and he's coming towards you and he's coming out of the storm, right? And this is important because you don't want to, the way to start the next phase after this happens is you need to go directly under him, just like I explained in the first phase of the fight, right? You got to be directly under him on a 3D plane. And if I go in right now, you might be in the degen and you might die, right? This guy won't, and if you have good like regen, good resist, you won't, but you are waiting for him to come out of the storm. Once again, storm does not follow you. He comes out of the storm. And look, I tick it right there. See, I've ticked it. He's going to say some edgy dialogue to tell you that the next phase has indeed started. And when that happens, the storm usually doesn't chase you, or it moves like extremely slowly, and you're pretty much safe to stay around here. These fiery things on the ground, they don't have very big AoE. If you see flame geysers, they don't have very big AoE. And now the second phase has started. Right here, I'm a little bit ballsy here because I've done the fight so many times. I know I'm not going to die to that degen. I can even go a tiny bit in if I want to spam some flasks. But if you want to be safe, wait for him to come out a little bit more so he's completely out of the storm, and once you proc him, the storm will not chase you anymore 99% of the time. Okay, so I've started the next fight. I'm just waiting here. These are the flame geysers I'm talking about. They have very small AoE. The visual is the AoE. If you are playing this build, you can walk into this a tiny bit. It'll do barely any damage. You can walk into one of these or one of the things he shoots. You can even walk into his double laser beam where does the big crater, because that doesn't do, it looks like it would kill you, but it doesn't do any damage. Okay, okay? And that is how you can tick endurance charges. My rule of thumb is if I have less than 10 seconds of endurance charge, right? 10 seconds on a timer up here, I will either use my gluttony belt swap and jump once and then put my regular belt back on to proc the endurance generation again, or I will walk into one of these, or if he's doing a double blast, I'll walk into that, get hit, or if he's doing Rain of Stars, I'll walk into one of the tiny sparkles that he shoots down and get hit by that, so that I can what's it called, like proc my endurance charges for when he comes down. So he's gonna come down, I'm just waiting, he's doing his role play, he drops down his little form again, and then I do my totems again, I leap in, and if you don't have Molten Shell, when he hits you, you'll regen it as well. So the first one, it's like if you want to, you can just get hit by him, but this is a little bit safer, right? Once again, he's teleporting around. This corridor attack, when this goes down, there's a challenge tied to this where you gotta dodge the lasers in here, but I jump past it just so I can DPS him. It seems like right now it might be bugged where you cannot DPS him while you're like in this corridor for melee. So I jump past him, it stops this phase. This lane, will not kill you, but the meteors he sends down the path will. So the way to counter this and to get rid of this phase is I jump directly through him. When you see the walls, you can't jump past the walls, just jump through him, you won't get hit by anything. The next sequence of attacks will begin, okay? And then in the last phase, that's actually a very important DPS phase. So we're attacking, we're getting hit by the beams, we're proccing endurance charge. As you can see, it's like doesn't really do much damage. Right there, you saw me take damage, right, from like a little dot. That's what I'm talking about. Flame geysers, black stuff on the ground is a degen. That is the most dangerous thing for this build and can catch you unaware if you're not paying attention. Okay, but this 50 to 75% phase is exactly the same as the first phase, right? You're just DPSing down another 25%, avoid the die, and it's no different. Right now, exactly the same as the 75% phase. You see this? I run over here, he procs the storm, I just wait. I wait for his shadow, okay? It pushes me back, like I can go pretty close, the storm does not follow me. There we go. Second storm out of 3, completely managed. You don't have to worry about it at all. Shadow is coming out, right? I might get hit by one of these to refresh my endurance charge. And right. Okay, you see that double beam? That's what I'm talking about. That's the double beam. It looks like it'll kill you, but it's so little damage. See, you're fine. Just pop some life flask here. I go underneath him. If you're a squishier build, you might not want to do it, but I'm talking about this video from the Jug point of view, right? You go underneath and you just start DPSing him. I don't see any meteors, so I don't move, right? Only the Meteor Barrage generates the degen ground, so I'm safe. These craters are self-explanatory. Sparks mark where the exits are. The first phase and second phase have 1 and 2 layers. Get out of them. Okay, if you have a bad internet connection, you play unpredictable. The way you know you're out is the moment you leave the last ring. This is a 2 ring. It will be 3 rings later in the last phase. The moment you leave the outer ring, the thing will disappear. Right, you see that he cancels the crater once you're safely outside. If you look like you're outside the crater, but he's not canceling, it means that you are desynced. And the best way to counter this is to spam click a bunch of times outside, so that sends more actions to the server. Or you can do something easier: pop your molten shell, pop your regular molten shell. You'll never die to ever to this meteor in any phase because it absorbs 10,000 health on its own. Right. So I get out of the crater, we're avoiding triple beams, he's teleporting, we're just going to DPS, that's it, right? Like, very easy, same as all the other phases. And I have my Wave of Conviction and Flammability going out. You see that sometimes that's on cancel on damage taken. Okay, he is down to 25% life. This is going to be the last phase. So the last phase, exactly the same, except for I like to come up here, and there's an important reason for this. Do you see this mural right here? You know how you hear a lot of people complain about getting stuck on the stairs? These like rails on the stairs will block a crater phase and can trap you in there. For our build, it doesn't matter because we can molten shell when he does a meteor if we get stuck there. But this mural is your landmark. Sirius has to get past this middle point, like draw a line, right, a diameter of this mural. He literally has to float somehow over the middle of this mural for the arena to be over the stairs. So if he's anywhere here, you're completely safe. You don't have to panic, you don't have to worry about it. If he gets past here even a little bit, there is a chance that because of like most of the crater will still be outside the stairs, that you won't get trapped. Okay, the only way that he's gonna make it around here where it's actually an issue for you is if you took too long on the storm phase, like you made the storm chase you for way too long, because he does start to drift northwest eventually in the later phases. And so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna jump away, and we do not have to manage the storm at all, right? I'm over here, I get my totems out of the way so that it doesn't proc the storm. You see the storm is forming, it will not chase me because I'm too far away, and it'll push me back. You see how close I can get to the storm without it chasing me? And then the way that you know that he's gonna follow you, because sometimes this phase is confusing. The way you know he's gonna follow you is if you get close enough and you hear him say some edgy stuff again, okay? If you're like over here where my totem is, he won't be saying anything probably. So just move closer until he says something, and then you'll see him start to move towards you. See that? You see how he's slowly moving towards like up here? Right now, alternatively, if somehow there is like about a 1 in 5, 1 in 6 chance from my runs that you see this storm right here and this storm right here, sometimes this passage is super tight, and sometimes they're even touching. And if that happens, you can't just sit right here, right? Because you know you're not a Jug, or maybe you don't have good regen, and you're gonna get ticked down, and you're gonna die if you stand here. But in that case, you take the storm and you go the other way. You go all the way to the right side. Do never go towards the door in the northeast. Okay, you're gonna take the storm. You're gonna go to the right side, because the right side has a massive open area, and you can just you can bait the storm to the right, and then go through the top like this right here. Go through here, and then he'll be somewhere here wide open. Go under him, proc next phase. But this is the easiest way to handle it as the storm is coming. Okay. Quick note. If your Sirius is ever inside of a storm, it seems like you can't get him, but you have multiple portals. One trick you can do is you can just use one portal, use one death, use one logout, jump underneath him, or you can place a decoy totem under him. I hear that works as well. And you can get under him, proc the phase, and if you die, it's fine. If you hear the voice line for the proc of the next phase, what will happen is when you zone back in the next time after your death, after your logout, whatever, he will spawn the arena. The arena has to push away storms, because storms cannot exist inside the arena. The arena is the red circle that he'll make. That's one thing that you could do. Don't be afraid to waste a portal to proc him if it seems impossible, okay? You can kind of like corpse run it. Okay, so I'm waiting. Okay, so now you see this. He's complete. You see how far away he is from the storm now? It's completely safe here, besides the little flame geyser. And you see how far away he is from the stairs? So I'm going to proc him. And we're waiting. He's gonna this phase takes a little bit longer to do the role play. He comes down, he's like, I'm alive. He goes into the big form, and now, okay, this is the arena. You see that circle? Look at that. You see that circle? Storms cannot exist inside the circle, so this storm will be pushed to the right, this storm will be pushed to the left. You'll be free to do your thing, right? And look how far away from the stairs he is, right? I waited super long, but look at that. He could have traveled all the way up here, and we still would have been safe from the stairs. And so then, now this is exactly the same as the last phases, except for there's a triple, the triple crater. You see that? And then you get out here. Remember, once you get outside, he will disintegrate the walls, and you know that phase is complete. This is called the Court of Stars. He will flash to show you the real one. If you just run in a circle like this, or just like run like, I guess like tangentially to like the circle, you can't get hit, because look. Okay, where's the flash? Okay, so the flash was down here, so that was like the real guy. And then he usually 90% of the time after he does it and the Court of Stars disappears, he will teleport somewhere. So you gotta find him, because after this it's dangerous if he's off your screen, because if you're far away, the die beam is a massive triple beam. It's gonna wreck you, right, if you don't have your molten shell up. So you want to find him and get close to him, because think about it, like, you know how like with like the rotating scorching ray, if you're close, you can like do a small turn and he can't hit you. But if you're far away, he's very easy. He has like a 45-degree cone that he can turn in. So there he is. Okay, this phase, when he does this move, the quadruple person beam into the middle. Don't stay in the middle. You're gonna want to, the right one is the first one to appear, and it's the flash. So I know it's this one. It also is the only one with a life bar. So then you can just DPS him freely right here. Right, and then this flamethrower trap thingy, this like cross that like spins around, it doesn't do that much damage, but try to avoid it if you can. And then so he's gonna teleport out. So that's the die. So do you see how big that beam is? And you see how I almost die here? But I have my life flask ready. I'm pretty tanky. You don't want to get hit by that if you're not a Jug, okay? And so you're gonna dodge all these. You're just gonna attack through the regular beams. That is totally fine. And then you see this, he's almost dead, right? So he's in coal range. Now there is also a laning phase here, and in this last phase, remember the two walls that you have to like jump past? For this one, if you can tank the lasers in the middle, this is a huge DPS phase. A huge DPS phase, because he'll just let you attack him for probably the longest period of time uninterrupted that there is. Now I got the crater, so I go out of the crater. This crater, you should never panic because you have so much time to get out of it. It's ridiculous. There's the die. Listen for the audio cue right there. So you see that crater right there. If you can tank it in here, he gives you so much time. But otherwise, jump out of it right away the same way as the last phase. And that's kind of the fight right there. It takes a little bit of practice, 5 to 10 runs, and you'll have it down. It'll feel like Shaper to you. It'll feel really easy to the point where you'll be able to do it on any trashy character. And yeah, that's the fight. That's the update to the character. So now that I've gotten that, let me show you what I've actually changed on the build, right? So I've got this Circle of Anguish. I switched out my chest for a Lore Weave. It's massive damage. Gloves, belt, boots, weapons, amulet, this ring, and this helmet are exactly the same. I dropped some life on the tree for a little bit of damage. It's the same thing, and it does a lot of damage. 3.5 minute Awakener 8 kills. It's pretty fun. If you have any questions, I guess you can ask down below, or you can ask me on my my Twitch stream. Overall, I'd say I recommend the build for learning the fight. It's really fun. It's really reliable. Right now, maybe it's not that budget anymore, but you can still make do because the core items from my previous video still apply. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching my video. Okay. Bye, guys. Bye.